Thank you very much for your invitation. I'm sorry I'm speaking in English because I don't know how to speak in Italian, even if it sounds to me very, very nice, but I'm sorry, I'm not enough fluent in your language. So I will present, and also I would like to apologize for the last time that I couldn't come, and it was, I had to cancel it the last time because I was ill, and sorry for that. Before, I will present you some projects that I feel they represent quite well our attitude, our way of thinking, our method of working. But first, I would like to say some words about some general words about our philosophy of architecture and design, and the sense that we give to the architecture, because for us it's important that architecture makes sense. And especially this idea of reinvent, which is very important for us, and reinvent in the way of thinking always how we can, as architects, try to not only improve the life of people, but also to give pleasure to be in the place where they are living. The pleasure is also something very important, and for us is also part of sustainability. The challenge of contemporary society all seem basically to revolve around the culture of paying attention, interpreting and transforming the existing environment. The idea of virgin territory no longer exists. The point is to exalt the capacities of the existing, to look at it in the new light and with new eyes. The existing provides the preliminary structure for all our projects. We are strongly interested by the existing situations with all their components, their complexity, their fragility, or their exceptional characters. Existing is a resource. Transforming, using what already exists, is accurately observing from inside, it's important, from inside, and as close as possible, understanding, being curious, being attentive to the places, to the trees, to people, looking positively with optimism, and taking advantage of what is already there as an opportunity and an additional value. Adding, joining, expanding, superimposing, spanning the existing structure is always more interesting than starting from a place beforehand clean and emptied. They are in themselves sources of savings and efficiency. The project invents then a new situation, enriched of all the previous stories of all the existing layers. In architecture or urbanism, we believe in the importance of the superposition. The more a space generates multiple and combined imaginative words, the more stimulating to live in it seems to be, and the more it triggers new relationships. The notion of inhabiting is also for us a very important point for architecture. All our projects start from this question. Inhabiting is about the pleasure, the generosity, and the freedom of occupying a space. It challenges us to think about the possibilities and the space around us and ahead. And architecture is about building multitudes of situations of usage, connected, intersected, and mobile. Designing architecture on the basis of the notion of inhabiting means constructing space from the inside and not from the outside. This inverted perspective allows to resist to the idea of form or image. Building from inside sets down the intention of precision, attention, and lineness. Another point which is also important for us is the question of economy, as you mentioned in your in your first words. And economy is not for us to be considered as a restriction or as a constraint, but much more as a tool which gives us the freedom to push up to the end all our ambitions, intentions, and to bring the generosity and the freedom to the projects that we want to give. Reinvent, first, is to change the standards. So maybe you can down the... So very early in our practice, and this is our first house that we built nearly 20 years ago. Very early in our practice, we were strongly motivated and involved to redefine and change the standard of housing. The standards of housing are generally too small and too restricting, and our aim for this first house was to build more large than the standards, to enlarge radically the living space. And for this first house, we experienced for the first time this idea of double the space, because we had the feeling that the program space, which is normally given to the functions, is always a kind of compromise between the needs, between the incomes you have, and generally the program is too constrained. And we felt at the time that giving an additional space, an extra space, if possible, as big as possible as the program space, was interesting, because we had the intuition that it would bring something interesting to the life of the inhabitants. Of course, this when we proposed this project to the family, this family was a family of workers with a very low budget. At the time, it was around 60,000 euros. They expected, before we met, to buy a prefabricated house of 65 to 70 square meters for the same amount. But for some reasons, it was not very convenient for this plot, because the neighborhood was it was not a very conventional plot. So we proposed this idea of changing the standards of housing, and the first discussion we had with this family were much more about not about their needs in terms of which space did they need, which quantity of rooms, but we discussed very fast in our first meeting about what for them the space. What they expected from a space, which was their pleasures, and very fast we started to discuss of their holidays, because at the time they had a camping car, and they moved as often as possible to the south of Spain to have holidays on the seaside. And very early, we agreed together that maybe the most beautiful living room was when you built your table and two plastic chairs in front of the sea, and you have your dinner. What could be better than this kind of space? And the project of the house started from this idea, as well as the idea of creating a good climate, as a kind of to be very close to the nature, but in a way to be also protected from the climate. So we worked a lot on this relationship between a very generous space and a low cost. And our previous experience in Africa has already given to us a lot of freedom regarding the way of building the space of the construction system. And we looked at the time to system of construction which allowed to us to build large in very low cost. And we used construction as for supermarket markets or for places where people built models or something like that. And also we looked a lot to the greenhouses in the fields because this construction were very interesting in the way they created a very good climate inside with a very simple construction made of a steel construction with plastic around, but just by understanding what you can do with the sun, that you must ventilate a lot to create a good atmosphere. And the combination of all these references gave us this construction with two sides. One side along the street, and which is quite a normal part of the house, and another side with an extra space orientated on east, which is a kind of very big greenhouse with 6 meters high. Which was an extra space in front of the main rooms of the house. So we arrived finally to build this project within the cost of the family, and they enjoyed a lot to come inside and to live inside. This construction gives a lot of freedom to their uses, and also the dimension of the house changes according to the seasons, and sometimes in summer the house is all the plot, including the garden. So we arrived to make this house, and for a long time it was only qualified by the critics, by other architects. The qualification of this house was, it's a low-cost house. But finally, after some years, we and looking to the life inside, we arrived to the conclusion that first, this house was a very beautiful house, and second, that it was a luxury house. And we arrived at the time to this idea that luxury is also part of architecture in terms of space, and luxury is not linked to the cost, to the question of money, but linked to what you give to the people in terms of quality of space, of generosity of space. So the house from outside, which is a very, very simple construction. We learned a lot from this project in terms of relationship between cost, between the space. But in fact, this house is not like that because it's a cheap house. This house is like that because it's a generous house, and it's not a consequence of the cost, but the house is a consequence of all the ideas that we propose to the clients in terms of quality of space and dimension of space. Some years later, we had the opportunity to develop these ideas of changing the standards to a social housing program, the collective social housing in a city in east of France, very close to Germany and Switzerland. We are here in city workers built in the middle of the 19th century. Around this factory, and this city workers was made of 1,500 little houses, all rented. And at the time, in the middle of the 19th century, these houses represented much better conditions for living for the workers, but their dimension was 36 square meters. But at the time, it was new typologies of housing. But step by step, the people changed quite radically these houses, and when the factory closed, the company became a public social housing company. Some inhabitants could buy their houses, and some they bought 2 or 3 houses to make one larger. but the life inside is very nice, and the quality of appropriation is remarkable. So we were invited to work on the place of the factory in 2000, because the owner of the city worker for the 150 anniversary of this city decided to make a project of new social housing of the 91st century, and he invited 5 architects to rethink this question of social housing for the future. So the 5 architects, our idea was not to make a common project, but we had many meetings, and we did this project as a workshop. Each of us with his own background, but with intentions to make a kind of not a common project, but a project all together. In these 5 architects, the most famous was Jean Nouvel, who did this building, and Shigeru did this one. So the commission of the owner, again, it's a social housing, public social housing company. So they work with public subsidies. So of course there is special regulations in terms of surfaces, in terms of cost of construction. But the intention of this owner was to ask us to develop new ideas, and he said that every year he built many dwellings, but he could see that these dwellings, based on the minimum standards, were not working very well anymore with the expectations of the families nowadays. The profile of families has changed. The traditional family with 1 couple and 2 children becomes something quite exceptional. So he was really expecting that we bring on the table new ideas. And he said, you are free to propose anything, but the only condition is, because it's public housing, that we work in the budget that is given by the government, and I cannot spend more. So each of the architects came with his own idea, but for us, what was important was to change radically the standards of small dwellings, and to try, as for the previous house, to try to make it more larger, more generous. So we gave us as a goal to develop dwellings twice bigger as the standards. It means that for a family of 4 persons, we considered that if we could build 150 square meters or 160 square meters, that could be something enough to have a nice life. So that was our goal when we started this project. But very early in the discussion with the client, we came to this discussion about the relationship between the dimension of the dwelling and the cost of the rent. Because normally it's not a regulation, but normally the rent is calculated in function of the surface of the apartment. And in that case, our proposition, as well as the one of Jean Nouvel, was to develop this very large housing. But we discussed that with the owner, and we asked to them if we engaged to build this dwellings in the budget. But if we do that, you must, on your side, engage that you will not increase the rent because the dwellings are much bigger. But you must engage to rent them in function of the type and not in function of the dimension. So we agreed together to this agreement, and at the end, we arrived to make the project, and he did what he promised. So the construction was to arrive to make this project in the same cost. Of course, it's not a kind of a magical project, but it's a very rigorous work, starting from the structure. The first thing is to build a very efficient and cheap structure. We work always with open structure. It means that open structure, it's columns, and beams and floors. We hate to make walls, and we try always to avoid to make walls, solid walls, because we think that it's more interesting to have open structure. So in that case, the construction, we thought that we could build first a very, very big loft. And we proposed to build a construction with a ground level, which was made with concrete platforms on concrete columns with 3 meters high. And on the top of this platform, to build 3 ranks of greenhouses. But these greenhouses come from the catalog of prefabrication, so we didn't design anything from these greenhouses, but just decided which were the dimensions, how many openings, and some of the materials. So that was the first step of the design, to use 100% of the floor that the ground that we could use, and then we proposed that every dwelling would have 2 levels, spaces on ground floor and spaces on the first floor, to have the 2 atmospheres inside the house. The greenhouses were also very interested in the way of, in terms of bioclimatic construction, because it takes all the sun to heat the house in winter. There was very large ventilation, so in summer it's quite a good atmosphere. And the greenhouse, they make a kind of intermediate climate between outside and inside, and it prepares already some external conditions to inside conditions, and we have the difference between inside and outside becomes lower. Then we started the construction, because we had the contractors, and we could build this project within the cost which was given. So the ground floor with this platform, the 3 ranks of greenhouse, and the project completed for 14 families. The dwellings are empty before the families come. It's a very big open space. The living rooms have an average of 60 square meters. And the average of the dwellings, it's in between 130 and 185. We use for the greenhouses all the systems that allows to create the best climate, including some curtains, 2 kinds of curtains, thermal curtains, but also solar protection curtains. And this was the construction. Then when the second step after building this very big volume was to divide it in 14 dwellings. We, as explained, we wanted that every dwelling has part on ground floor and another part on first floor. We propose that every dwelling should have 2 orientations, so they cross. They are crossing orientation, and they are combined by 2 dwellings are combined. One is quite big on ground floor and small on the first floor, and the other one is the opposite. It's small on the ground floor and large on the first floor. And on each corner, it's the special small apartments or special big apartments. So the other point was to make the divisions. We say that every living room should have 6 to 7 meters large as a glass window, and every bedroom should have 3 meters large. So it gave us a division of the periphery, and we could design every apartment. So some pictures of the apartments some times after the completion. As you could see that many apartments, they have no partitions because we considered that in a way as a loft. Normally, a loft is a space which is gained in industry or building which are not made for residential. But the space is very often so big that you don't need to introduce partitions because in a way the space acts as a partition. So in this project we propose to make the same, and we say that we could make the experience not to make partitions, but to the owner was a little bit has doubts a little bit, and we agreed that. As also he asked to all the other architects that we will come back every 6 months after the completion during 2 years to meet the inhabitants, to discuss with them, to see what was not working, and eventually to change something. So we were ready if the families asked for partitions to introduce partitions. But finally, after 2 years, no family asked for partition, and they arranged themselves. So it's very important to consider that what we hear very often from the developers that we must build standards of housing because all the families are in a way standards of family, that all the people are living in the same way. But in fact, if you can think differently, and you can think that if you provide different conditions, the people they know how to use it, and you don't have to explain to everybody how they should live somewhere. If you give the best condition, they know how to live inside. So the little winter garden, sometimes in front of the bedrooms. Another dwelling, which is also which has 2 bedrooms on ground floor and 2 bedrooms on the first floor. So the ground floor in front of the bedrooms has a little swimming pool, only in summer. Here you can see this. These thermal curtains, which has the face outside is aluminium to reflect the sun, and it's put very close to the glass. So in winter it keeps the temperature inside, and in summer it reflects the sun. And this winter garden in front, the living room, was 40 square meters. And in the way, it's interesting to think that this kind of housing is very interesting to develop in the cities, to introduce again this idea of living in a house, even in a dense context. And we think that this kind of housing could be superimposed to make big buildings, but for us it's one of the conditions to make the densification of the cities acceptable by people, to give the best individual conditions. And densification should not be compression of the individuals, but in the opposite, it should allow to give more to each individuals. Another context, but it was a project for competition that we didn't win. But also the program of this project was an eco neighborhood with all the regulations or all the recommendations that we know for this kind of new green neighborhoods. And the plot was very close to the center of a small city in the west of France. But the plot where we had to make this project was quite nice forest, but this forest was becoming reducing and was dying. And the competition was to make, for this eco neighborhood, was to make 250 individual houses on this plot. So that was this competition was very disturbing, because in one hand, there was this requirements to make ecological development, and in another hand, it was asked 250 houses. And when we did the first test, they recovered all the floor, and there was not anymore any forest. So we were really disturbed on this first phase of the competition, and finally we were close to think that maybe an ecological neighborhood should be better to reinvest some parts of the city which are already built, much more than to build on existing forests. But that was the first intuition, but we started to work even on this project. In the middle here, there was a very nice building, which was part of a little university, but it was abandoned, and they planned to demolish this building. So the visit on the site, and it's why it's so important to have the feet on the floor and not to see the thing from the sky or from side. It's because all these feelings were very strong when we were walking on the site with this forest. We were working with landscaper, which focused all the qualities of this place. But even the place was regressive, there was still enough to consider that we could make something to reverse the process, and to think that we could make a project that could allow this forest to become again very, very strong. So we, in a way, we abandoned this idea of little houses, and we proposed a collective project. So there was many varieties of flowers, of birds, of butterflies, and this building, which was totally abandoned, but interesting because on the last level we could see that there were wonderful views on the sea. So we proposed to make these 250 dwellings, not on the ground, but elevated at 12 meters above the canopy, to explain to this owner, which is a social housing company of this city, to explain to them that now it's no more time to make individual houses in the city, but that we should work on collective housing, but without neglecting the question of nature, of quality of ground. So we proposed to make this platform at 12 meters above the ground, which was built with steel elements with a very low impact foundations, only columns in the ground. So here this is a ground floor, which where you see only some little stairs which were hanged on the platform and some elevators. Then at 9 meters above ground, there was a common pathway to deserve all the stairs, all the elevators. And the first level of housing was 12 meters above, which was the top of the canopy of the trees. And there were three levels of dwellings at 12, 15, and 18 meters. So that's a section on all the ground, and this construction allowed to us to keep in totality the forest, and to think that the forest could restart and evolve in a good way. This was some tests of the landscaper, the existing, then 1 and 4 years later. And then here we could expect that 10 to 40 years later the forest could come again, natural forest. And also it was interesting because the ground could be kept as a public park or public forest as it was before. So unfortunately we lost the competition. But the project is never lost, and I think that early or later, we can reintroduce somewhere this idea in another context. So that was the past. So reinvent the standards. It's not only working for housing, but it's also it can be the same for a school of architecture, and that was a competition that we were invited in 2005, I think, or 2003, in the city of Nantes. It was not. It was a new school of architecture in the city, which had already a school, but the school was not in the city. It was in the close suburb. And they needed to extend the school of architecture, and the school wanted to take this opportunity to leave their site and to come back to the city in an island in the center of the city, which was a former industrial site, and which were becoming, because all the industries had moved, had quitted. So there was an ambitious master plan to redevelop a new neighborhood here and to become here the new city center. So our the plot, the site was here. It was divided in 2 parts, and we were free in the competition to build on both plots or only in the biggest one. So for this project, we proposed to in the competition to work in 2 steps. The first step was to follow the requirements of the school, to make an open space where they could develop different kind of pedagogy, different fields of architecture, but not only. We consider that finally a school of architecture, it may be the city, the place where the city is the most well-known as anywhere, because every year many students, many studios are studying the city, are making new projects, and in the schools there is a huge amount of knowledge on all the parts of the city, which is very often storage in somewhere, but nobody finally has access to these elements. And here, because the school was coming in a new neighborhood, we considered that it could be an opportunity to make on that place a place for the debates for the new urban planning of the city. So it was important to let a lot of space, not only for the school, but also to invite all these new activities. So we propose to, in the first step, to say that maybe the most important in a city is to create floors. So the first step of the project was to make three floors with very high capacity of load. The first one was at 9 meters above the ground. The second was at 16 meters, and the third was at 23 meters. With a possibility of 1,000 kilos on each floor, which allowed to rebuild on the floor without having to make a new foundations. And the floor, the ground was not a concrete ground; it was the floor of the city with a slope, and because it should be for us connected to all the public space around. And we didn't want to have a kind of circle or basement, but that to have the continuity of the public ground inside the school. And then, after making these floors, we proposed to make a very large ramp which could deserve all the levels by walking, but also with bikes, or exceptionally with cars. So the grid was a grid very efficient, a grid of columns, 10 by 10, with prefabricated slabs of 10 meters long, two cores with stairs and elevators, but also to make the stability of the building. And the ramp, which is running on the longest side to have a very low, very slow slope until the last level, which was also the roof of the building. And that was this first step with this big structure that for us could allow to receive a school of architecture, but maybe in 20 years, 30 years, to be recycled to another program, but the grounds should stay on the place. And then we delivered some renderings of what could be possible in a very big hall of 9 meters and the ceiling to build models at scale 1 to 1. The other levels had 7 meters and the ceiling, so it's allowed to redivide in two if necessary. The studio of projects open to the big terraces. And the last level, which was also the roof of the building. So as you said in your first word, that for us it was important, exactly as for the first house or all the other dwellings, to consider that the program of 9,000 square meters for 800 to 1,000 students was already too restricted, and that we should develop more, not in terms of programmatic space, but as extra space without any function, because it's important that this extra space has no clear function, but given to the appropriation of the school. So we started the construction. Everything was prefabricated. and it was quite easy to build with the columns and these big slabs. And that was the first, after completion of this first step of building a capable structure that could receive many functions, and first the School of Architecture. And then we, in the competition, we organized a program inside. And we say that if we win the competition, we were ready to come back to this step of only the structure and to make the program of the school with the schools. But finally, we won the competition, and but they decided that the project was interesting for us, and we went on to the process of building. Here again, the question of economy was very important, because if you propose to make more space, it should not cost more, because if not, your project has no chance to be accepted. So it's important to work a lot in again in the question of structures to give you these margins of freedom to organize the program, and to organize all the program in the budget. So we also built a little building in front here, but in a different way, because the plot was very small. So we used a steel structure. And here, this is for the ground floor is for exhibitions. And the other levels are the research departments and administration. Then the second step was to build inside a secondary structure, which was a light structure with steel, which didn't needed to rebuild foundation, because the floor were enough capable to receive this, and it's allowed to install the program. On the ground floor it's 2 auditoriums, and the other floors were for the classrooms, the library, but also the studios for the project. The ground floor has quite no really pedagogical function. It was much more a place open for the public activities. And the other levels are much more given to the school. So that were the floors. And the secondary structures that was introduced inside, but that could be removed or changed in a scale of some years. And then the school completed in 2009. All this extra space are also intermediate space that allows here again to transform a little bit external climate and prepare better condition for the rooms which have heating. A small plaza in front, just in front the river. The entrance of the school and the starting of the ramp. The ground floor with the cafeteria. And this large volume of 1,000 square meters. The program is to make models at bit scales, but it's also very often used for some other activities, such as parties or concerts. The large auditorium, which is, of course, to give courses, but it's we put good seats, and they can also invite theaters, or in the school too. There is a department for scenography, and we did a very big door open to the city and to the river to extend the scene of this auditorium. And some very unexpected uses on Saturdays. And I will pass quite fast all these pictures because they show that how many uses these spaces can create. So at the beginning it was a little bit controversial, but finally year after year the appropriation is much better, and now everybody uses all the spaces, sometimes with a lot of activities, sometimes less activities, but it's also the life of the school to have empty times, but also full times. So there is two kinds of space. There are the very conventional space as the classrooms, as studios, as library, offices, but also very large spaces close to this conventional space, and can be an extension of all the activities. These terraces, they are at the junction of ramps. And all this space allows to develop many free uses. So starting from an empty space delivered at the completion, that could be a lot of appropriations. This one was a model of an interpretation of the city of Berlin. It was a workshop. This is the place for the scenography, a normal classroom with tables and, but always this possibility of extension of activities. So starting from 9,000 square meters of program, we built 18,000 square meters of inside space and 26,000 square meters in total. It means that there are also 8,000 square meters of external space in different terraces, but also the last terrace. So some badminton competitions. And the ramp, which is connecting all the levels, which is also the place for some Saturday activities. The ramp is open to the public, also to visit this place. This is the last floor, the last level, which is an open level, like a big plaza in the sky of the city. Is 2,500 square meters. And it's also a balcony to see some events in the city, because very close they built this big puffins for theaters. And the view over this overview on the city, and the house, the school in the night, which is open until midnight. So reinvent, it's also to transform, and especially transform the existing and the modernist social housing developments that many cities have in their suburbs, and very often nowadays they are rejected neighborhoods. And in France, 10 years ago, there was an important national program which was developed by the French government, which was about urban renovation of these neighborhoods. And this program was based on demolition and rebuilding of a quite important quantity of dwellings. I think the program was nearly based on 200,000 dwellings demolished and rebuilt for a very, very important cost, because at the time 15 billion euros were given to this program and to the demolition and rebuild of these units. And at the time, with Jean Phillippe, my partner, and with a friend, Frédéric Druot, we were very interested because we didn't understand this program of demolition, which for us was a very dramatical situation and dramatical decision. And we were interested and involved in the way of studying these neighborhoods to see if there was a more positive alternative of transformation and renovation instead of demolition. And so we studied different, so here that was, for example, one of the building which was demolished in La Courneuve. It was one of the first cities built very close to Paris in the early 60s. So we studied some examples which were planned to be, scheduled in the program of urban renovation in the national program, and we studied very carefully this example in details in terms of living space, in terms of social aspects, in terms of structures, to see really if these buildings were still in good state, and also in terms of economy. And we arrived to the conclusion that demolition was really definitely a mistake, and that it was more interesting to transform, in considering that these buildings were not at the end of their life, so in terms of structure they were still good. Of course, they should be updated because they were built in the 70s with not the same requirements and qualities that we expect today in terms of thermic, acoustic, etc. Also, we could see that many of people living in these buildings, even if their life was not, of course, the best that we could expect, but many times they were in a way attached to their neighborhood, and they didn't like the idea to have to move somewhere else. We could meet also some families which were moving from one building demolished to another one, which would be demolished 2 years later. So it was, in a way, really dramatical situation. And at the time, we say that, as we could say for any landscape, we could say that for us there was one attitude: never demolish, never replace, just add, transform, increase the quality, and being generous. So the studies that we did on this project, we could see that every time it was possible to find solutions to transform, to enlarge, starting from the inside of the building and not from outside. The problem was not that it's modern architecture or it's towers or blocks. It's not a problem of form. It's really a problem of quality of housing. And all the projects that we did on these neighborhoods, we started from the quality of the dwelling. And we could see that it was always possible to find interesting solutions for a cost of 40,000 to 60,000 euros per dwelling, compared to the 150,000 to 180,000 for demolition and rebuild. In the worst, it was one third. So it means that we could, for the same amount, make a very large refurbishment of these neighborhoods. So this study stayed unknown because, of course, it was not possible to talk about this question because the program was really engaged and it was going quite fast. But we arrived to publish it in Spain. And a few years later, we could be invited on a competition in Paris for this building, which was built in the 70s. This building is inside the ring of Paris. It's not the suburb. It's part of these developments made in the 70s. At the origin, it was a quite good architecture with large openings, with quality of dwellings, with loggias. The ground floor was open on the high columns, and there were some community spaces. But in the 80s, when we started the first refurbishments for insulation, at the time they did a very bad refurbishment, only responding to requirements of technical requirements of insulation, and they didn't took any care to the quality of the dwellings inside. So they closed the entrance. They put a new cladding, small windows where there were before large openings. And these very small windows, when in front you have a very large landscape with nothing around. So in the competition, we proposed the project again, which was starting from the quality of the housing. We say that, in fact, the title of the competition was Metamorphosis of this building. But we considered that for us, the problem was not the form of the building, but much more the quality of living inside. And we proposed two main ideas. The first one was to enlarge all the apartments, to give a better quality of housing, to give a kind of outside space, to reopen the facades, to introduce again more light, to make some technical aspects, some technical refurbishments for heating, for bathroom, electricity, and so on. And the second point was that we proposed to make these works without emptying the building, but while keeping all the families inside for those who wanted to stay during the works. And that was our proposition. So we won the project on this proposition, and then we started to study. So the proposition, because if you propose to keep the people inside during the works, it's very important to think. At the same time, you are making the project to think to the method of works, because, of course, it's the most important to imagine what would be the life in the building while the construction is going on. So the works was to make the extension with prefabricated modules that we could build outside the site and bring them on the site and build them in front of the facade and use them in a way as scaffoldings to take away the existing facade and build in front the new one. These modules were totally independent. It means that they had their own structure, their own foundations. They were not, they were just a little connected to the building, but they were not supported by the building. And also for us, it was the one way to build quite fast for this new transformation. The facade existing, there were the two facades, the original one and the second one, built in the 80s, and both of these facades had asbestos, amianto. So it was also a special work to take away these two facades. So these modules, they were 3 meters large. They had a glass facade with large sliding doors that could replace the existing facade. And then there were a second facade, which was more light, with sliding panels with polycarbonate that could be closed or opened, and 1 meter of balcony. So the method was to build these modules in front and to extend all the apartments all around the block. Then after the competition, we did also meetings with inhabitants. It was one of the requirements of the owner. The owner is City of Paris. It means that it's public housing. All the apartments are rented. It's not private owners. So we did these meetings to explain the project. First, it was a collective meeting. Then we met all the families in particular. Then we visited all the apartments, and we could also see that many people, they were not, they were asking nothing because they wanted, they didn't want to have to move from there. But many families were not on a good situation. Some young families with 2 children, they had very small apartments. Some families which were living there for 40 years, now they were aged and they had a large apartment, but they were only 2. But they preferred to pay the rent for a bigger apartment because they wanted to stay in this neighborhood. So we asked to the owner to start a very transparent process and to put all these questions on the table that could be discussed, as well as the cost of the rent after the construction. There was an association of the tenants, so they had some representatives and they could discuss with the owner to all these questions, and they agreed on the cost of the rent after the construction in the way that all the apartments could remain affordable for all the families living there. And there was also a sort of not statistic, but meetings made with all the tenants, but neither by the architects nor by the client, but by sociologists who asked to every family which were their requirements, if they wanted to change the dwelling, what they could pay. And finally, we got all the results of these discussions, and the owner agreed that every family could change if we could find a solution to remove everybody on the right place. Finally, there were around 60% of families who wanted to stay on their dwellings, and 40% we asked for changement. And we arrived finally to find the right location. Then we did a little prototype at the scale 1:1 to make the visits, and then the tenants, the inhabitants, voted, and they voted in favor to the project, so we could start the construction. So that was the prototype, which was made on the place of the contractor. Just a word about the construction is a steel construction, because it was very important that the modules could be less than 6,000 to 7,000 kilos. We did the prototype with a concrete module because the contractor didn't want to make it on steel, and it was 10,000 kilos. So it was for us totally impossible to imagine that we could build these modules on 50 meters. So at that period, we had really to struggle with engineers and with contractors to keep the method of building on steel. And 1 or 2 times, we had to say we stop because we don't agree what you want to do, and finally we gained and we could build this construction in steel. So it's important to understand that. For an architect, it's not only making the project which is important. We have also to defend everything: the construction, the cost, the quality of architecture, the space, and to defend all together up to the end of the project, and to make no compromise, because it's sometimes it could be very easy to say, okay, you are right, it costs too much, so we will reduce our ambition of space or dimension of extension. But we were completely convinced that we could complete the project in all aspects in the best way, in the right way, with the budget we had. And we have really defended this idea every day during all the project. And finally, I think we were right, and we could arrive to the end. And then we started after this prototype. They started to build. We had 157 modules. And we started to build in front the facades, 6 to 7 modules a day. So it means that after 3 months we finished to build the modules, and then it took another 6 months to finish the interiors of the extensions, the fire protection of the columns, the curtains, and so on. In the same time, we were making the works, the refurbishments inside, all the bathrooms, all the electricity of every apartment. So, and in this project, the way of thinking how you can improve the quality of housing finally changes radically the image of the building. So it's not necessary to demolish to change radically the image. You can do it also by very precise work of transformation of the space by the quality of space. So just a few pictures before and after, because now it's very difficult to memory how it was before, because the change was so big. The entrance before was this grid, and we changed the floor outside to put it at the same level. From inside, this apartment became this one. Here you can see the two kind of curtains. This one, which is a thermal curtain inside, and this one, which is a solar protection. The inside of the winter garden, it's 2 meters 2 meters inside. This facade is has double glass, so it's much better than before for saving the energy. And some people, we didn't want to change anything in their existing apartments, as this old lady, which was 90 years old, and she was really afraid that we remove the furniture, the lamps, and so we could take care. And the contractor was also very involved in this way of working. And the views that, again, the people have, the inhabitants have refound. So just some, very fast, some datas. We extend every apartment between 22 square meters to 60 square meters, just by making this double skin, this space, it's finally has the same effects that only an insulation, because we gain 50% of energy just by making this intermediate space. The cost was 11.2 millions compared to demolition and rebuild, which was an estimation from the owner before he decided to make the transformation, which was 20 million. So it means that it's nearly the half. And the building was occupied during the constructions. So we have now, it's very difficult to, this project has a lot of success, but anyway, we don't have so many other projects to do. We have this one, which started nearly at the same time, and we are very close to complete. It's a different neighborhood, but we had to work on a little block, quite usual level of four apartments, a little bit small. The problem here was precisely the bathroom, which was very small, and we decided to remove the bathroom in one bedroom and to build an additional bedroom outside, connected to the living room by an extension, winter garden, and the balcony, and finally to redefine a new apartment which has 33 square meters more. So we could do that for the 4 apartments, but because on this site the density on ground is very low, we propose also to make a densification and to make 2 additional wings of a new construction, which allow to incorporate the extension of the existing, but also to create new dwellings in a ground which was already owned by the owner, with all networks, with everything. So it was, in a way, an economy for the owner. So this project was accepted, and we did the studies, and we have now nearly completed the construction. So that was the plan. So starting again from the quality of housing, from the interior space, that produce a radical changement of the building, and that gain a new life, but a durable life, because the quality of space is there for a very long time. So the construction is dry construction made with steel and prefabricated slabs, steel and concrete. And we built quite fast around the existing and the new wings. So it's allowed to open the living rooms to this extension, and to give in front of every existing apartment 3 meters in front. The new extensions, the 2 wings that we built on every side. Here again, an open structure which allows to put the partitions. The partitions, they are not part of the structure, so it allows to make different types of housing. And the building nearly completed. And the cost here is 40,000 euros for the transformation of the existing, and 100,000 for the new housing. So it means that at the end, it's an average of 70,000 euros for 80 quite new dwellings, which is a quite low cost, because the average of construction in France is around 120,000 for a new dwelling. And the inside of the construction, here on the first floor, on the middle height of the building, and the highest, the 10th floor, with these views, and always this extension that gives the freedom and the better possibilities to every dwelling. So we have also, don't have pictures, but we will start also in January construction for transformation of 530 dwellings in Bordeaux. Also in a site which is 100% occupied, and we will not remove any inhabitant. So it's interesting to see that if you work like that, not in terms of large territory, master plan, but in considering many of individual situations in the city, you can find here and there an enormous amount of interesting projects where you can improve the quality of housing, where you can find densification without having to expand so much the cities. Here it's the city of Bordeaux, and it was a study asked to some architects, and we could see that in the next 5 years, they can find possibility to build more than 50,000 new dwellings in existing lands without having to go out of the limits of the city. So that's a very promising situation, and we know that every city has like these buildings in Paris or in Saint-Nazaire, many buildings, many housing buildings like that, where we have possibilities to make that. And just a last project, again, in terms of transformation. It's a project that we have very recently completed, which is not housing, but it's art contemporary collection, but it's a public art contemporary collection, because in France we have 20 buildings like... You can go? I can go? Okay, thank you. And that was on this site in the north of France. It's an industrial. It was an industrial, very active site where they built big boats, and this industry closed in the 70s, 80s, and finally they have totally emptied the site in order to make a new development, and they kept only this this building, which in a way was a kind of symbol of the former industrial era. And the program for the competition was to fill this building with this new place for contemporary art. So we were invited for the competition. So this the building, very close. So inside the building, it was a very huge space, 75 meters long, 25 meters large, and 35 meters high, totally empty. And we were really impressed and very touched by this space, which reminded us the Tate Modern in London. It's nearly the same section, but the Tate Modern is twice longer. But for those who know this place in London, and you can remember which kind of exhibition there were here, it's really an amazing space. So very early in the competition, we had really this intuition that it was a pity to have to sacrifice this space and to fill it with floors, with storage for artworks. And this was always an obsession in our mind that we couldn't make that. But we did all the same the exercise to fill this place. And we arrived to... in fact, it was interesting because we making this exercise, we had to imagine how it was to use the height of the building, because it was 35 meters. But finally, we returned to our first idea, and our proposition for the competition was to let this all totally empty and to build an additional building, which was exactly the same on the side of the existing, but which could contain all the new spaces of exhibition space, storage, with all the required conditions of height, of humidity, of air conditioning, because they keep inside the artworks. And we could keep like that the hall totally empty. And in a way, that was here also, again, this idea that we develop in many projects, built a double, but in that case, a double was already there. So then the project was to put the functions inside the building. The second building was exactly the same dimensions, because for us it was maybe the only way first not to make a competition between the two architecture, but to give to the both architecture an equal value. The long section with half in yellow dedicated to the storage, and on the right part for the exhibition, and in between a very, very big lift. And under the ceiling, there was under the roof, there was an additional space, which was an extra space given by the form of the project, which was given to the intermediate exhibition space. So the exercise to use the height had led us to propose that the public should be led very fast to the top of the building to get the view, to see what happened around, and that the public should find at every level an exhibition space. So we organized the exhibition here in blue, the four rooms for exhibition. So that was the rendering for the competition. Then we won the competition. Even in first we were nearly rejected because they considered that we were out of the brief. But finally, nothing in the requirement say that it was forbidden to make that. So we were reintegrated in the jury, and finally we won the competition at the end of the day of the jury. So we started then the works with a strong concrete structure that allowed to develop high volumes for exhibition. And the last level, which opened views to the surroundings, and especially the harbor of the city on the west. And the building completed, which had opened 1 month ago. So it's totally different from the existing, but it feels all the. It's made with our tools of nowadays, our constructing system of nowadays, and it feels all the requirements for the program. And then some pictures of the opening day. So this space now is a new space for exhibition of 2,000 square meters. In between the existing and the new space, and there is a kind of street, which was a requirement of the program to make a pass along the building. And this space under the ceiling, which opens view to the surroundings and to the sea. So here an exhibition of, it's an artwork of an artist. And these views under this transparent ceiling. So this extra space will be also used to share some exhibition with some other institutions of Europe, not only in France, but and especially of the north of Europe. The main exhibition space with 9 meters under ceiling, And the partitions are removable, so they can make displays, or they can also reopen the space if they have to make more installations. The existing hall, we have rebuilt a new moving crane, which was no more existing. So they can envisage to build quite big artworks in the space, but also to open it for any public event. A dark room only for movies or videos. The space for the education, for schools. Another exhibition room open to this street, internal street. The storage, not yet filled. And the stairs, which are not inside the building, but in between this the double envelope. So it means that when you have visited the exhibition, if you want to move to another place, you always move to this semi-exterior space, and you have the light and the views. The ground floor, which is also an exhibition space. The coffee shop, this was made by an artist. And the openings to the existing hall. And just to, last word is just to show this little project that we did some years ago in Bordeaux. It's a project for to refurbish a plaza, and reinvent is also sometimes doing nothing. And the question for this project, how can you make this square more beautiful? We had 3 months to reply to this question and to bring a project of refurbishment. And we came back with arguments to say that at this question, is this square beautiful? We reply that it's already beautiful because of the architecture, because of the trees, because of the use of the square. And we say that our project was to do nothing. So thank you very much.